We're good to go? Okay, good morning everyone and welcome to this month's Clicky webinar where we're going to be talking you through our top 10 tips for a successful social ads campaign. We just need to apologise for the delay this morning, we've just had a couple of technical issues.
So just to introduce ourselves, I'm Shannon, I'm PPC exec at Clicky.
And my name is Kelly, I'm the paid media account specialist here at Clicky and I've worked here for just under 8 months.
So as Kelly said, we're going to just run through our top 10 tips for a successful social advertising campaign, and then there'll be time at the end for any questions that you may have. So just to, I suppose, recap on what social ads are. So when we talk about social, it's usually in like two contexts. So there's either organic or paid. So organic is basically where it's free to post. So that's generally what you'll see in your news feed. And then anything paid for usually has a little ads or sponsored sign in the top. So generally at Clicky we use a variety of platforms including Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn and Snapchat, as you can see there. There are many others out there.
Many more. Okay, so tip number 1 is to perfect your tracking ahead of launch. So when we onboard a new client, one of the first tasks that we'll undertake here at Clicky is a tracking audit. So some of the things we may look at are making sure that any forms on landing pages are tracking, both within the social ads platform and within Google Analytics. Also things such as checking that the Facebook pixel is correctly implemented and firing with no errors, and also ensuring that revenue is tracking correctly for any of our e-commerce clients. So we do this for a number of reasons. Firstly, to ensure that both we and the client can clearly see any ROI or lead figures. Also for reporting on performance, so whether that's weekly, monthly or year on year, for example. And also so the client truly understands the value of their investment in a social advertising campaign.
So tip number 2 is know your objective. So sometimes businesses can get a bit excited about trialling a new social platform and they just want to go ahead and start planning and building without actually considering what they're doing and what the campaign is designed to do. So why is it important to have an objective? So in order to determine if a campaign or platform is working for a business, you need to set an objective or goal to measure against. Otherwise you could be spending money on advertising that just isn't working for your business. The types of objectives we often see include increasing revenue by X amount, achieving X amount of leads, ensuring ROI is an X figure, increasing brand awareness or visibility, or also re-engaging with previous buyers. Objectives come in all shapes and sizes, and it's important to have them in mind throughout your campaign build, launch, and obviously reporting as well, to ensure that you're measuring against what is important to your business and making sure that you're investing money in the right places.
Okay, so tip number 3, tailor your ad copy to each audience. So it's really important that you tailor your ad copy so that you can connect with your audience on a more personal level. So say for example, you are running a brand awareness campaign, you've got 2 ad sets, you're targeting parents in one ad set and couples in another. You should tailor the ad copy within each ad set to address the audience demographics that you're trying to attract. So using this approach, rather than running generic ad copy across all ad sets, is much more likely to result in a higher click-through rate and also get you higher levels of engagement.
So tip number 4 is adapt your creative to each ad placement. I'm just going to apologise for my voice as well, it's a bit husky. It's that time of year, so I'm full of a cold. So users are used to seeing visual content everywhere these days. Brands are using more and more video and imagery, engaging creative campaigns just to stand out in such crowded markets. So this means that users are also hyper aware of what is good and what is bad creative. This means that brands and businesses can't be lazy or half-hearted when it comes to producing and promoting creative to their audiences. So social platforms have given more control to advertisers over the years. For instance, Facebook allows you to adapt your creative for each placement it offers, allowing advertisers to ensure the creative and ad copy isn't cut short and reflects how you'd like to be seen across each ad placement on various devices as well, because you have to consider obviously desktop, mobile, tablets. Mobiles come in so many different sizes these days.
Yeah.
Taking the time to consider ad placements and how your ad looks across each one can be the difference between a well thought out campaign that gets results and a campaign that completely misses the mark with your audience.
Okay, so tip number 5, always A/B test. So one really important thing to remember is that social media advertising is always going to be an ongoing test. So say for example you achieved really great results one month from a particular advert, you wouldn't only run this ad for all future campaigns without making any changes or any adjustments to try and better your results. You need to keep testing. So one of our favourite features in Facebook ads is the A/B test tool, which allows you to test ad sets against each other to understand which strategies give you the best results. So what are some of the things that you can A/B test? You can test your creative, so video versus imagery for example, your landing page, so form lengths, a longer version versus a shorter version, your ad copy, testing different call to actions and USPs, your audience, or even your ad placements. So on the screen now is an example of a current A/B test that we're running for one of our clients where we're testing different lengths of an instant experience. Ad set A includes a form within the instant experience, and within ad set B, we've removed the form and we're leading users straight to the client's website to convert.
Okay, so tip number 6, allow your campaign to complete the learning period. So this is something that hasn't always existed within social platforms, but it's something that they are pushing more and more. We also see it across Google now as they get a lot smarter and machine learning is really taking off. So one mistake or oversight we see quite often is not letting campaigns complete the learning period that Facebook set. So Facebook set this learning period to better understand the audiences and objectives you set for your campaigns. So if you amend the campaign or budget during this initial learning period, it will reset. So you'll be basically going around in a big loop.
Yeah.
So the campaigns don't really get going until the learning period is complete. So the learning period is generally complete when 50 actions have been completed on your ad within the Facebook platform.
Tip number 7, don't choose Facebook if your audience aren't there, and we really cannot stress this enough. So there seems to be a bit of a perception about Facebook. I don't know if it's because of how big the platform is or how detailed the targeting options are, but clients often think that this is the best platform to run social ads from, and we actually disagree. So one thing that we would recommend is looking at your organic social performance. So if you know that organically you get really great engagement on Twitter and you get virtually no engagement on Facebook, you should look to advertise on Twitter because that's where your audience are active.
So tip number 8 is lead your traffic to a landing page optimised for your objective. So it doesn't matter how great your ad copy or creative is on social if the landing page you're sending traffic through to isn't optimised to meet your objective. For instance, if your objective is to sell out of your latest products, you've got a new product on your website, it's no use sending traffic to the home page or a category page because users might get distracted, not understand how to actually navigate to that new product. You just need to basically send them to what you're advertising in the first place. It's therefore important that you have a well-optimised landing page that features the product in question with good imagery, descriptive content, for instance including USPs, and a clear call to action. So you basically need to direct users through the website and get them to complete that action, whether it might be add something to basket or be notified when it comes back in stock, for example. Surprisingly, it's not uncommon for larger brands to make this mistake. I don't know about you, but have you ever clicked on an ad that's selling clothing? You go through, you land on the homepage, you have to try and find the top that was in the ad. It's one of the worst things. If you're like me, you either give up, you don't bother trying to look through the website, or you might have a little nose but not actually see what you were coming to the website for in the first place. So that's potentially a lost sale for that business.
Tip number 9, get your ad specs correct. So we touched on this earlier, but as well as getting your creative specs correct, it's really important to keep ad copy limits in mind as well. So as well as looking within each platform to check ad specs, we actually use a really great website called Ad Jelly. So that's addjelly.com/size-guide, which gives all sorts of really useful information, and it's also free. And that gives you things such as image sizes and ad copy limits, and what's even better is it's listed by ad format and by ad platform. So when building a new campaign, we always recommend that you use the ad preview tools, and this is so you can test how your ads look on both mobile and desktop. So quite often, ads on mobile can become truncated and shortened, so you just want to bear in mind that your audience might be missing out on vital USPs if you're not adjusting your ad copy to mobile.
So tip number 10 is keep an eye on ad frequency and ad exhaustion. So ad frequency can often be overlooked or not considered when producing and monitoring social campaigns. But you can often edit frequency in many social platforms to ensure users don't become fed up of seeing your ad too often. You've probably seen it yourself, that you just get spammed with the same ad, and you might even hide it or block that page. This can often happen with remarketing ads as well. So where a business is serving an ad to someone that's already been on their website, you can feel a bit overwhelmed by seeing that brand everywhere. We say a frequency of about 8 is right for remarketing campaigns because they've already engaged with your business, so they are more interested than prospective leads. If it's not a remarketing campaign, then we recommend a frequency of about 4, and generally once the frequency is hit 4, you'd then maybe look to change ad copy or change creative and just switch things up a bit. Not completely off brand, obviously keep to your brand guidelines and your tone of voice, but you can perhaps trial a different CTA, different ad copy, and obviously, as Kelly said earlier, always A/B test that as well. So that's it, that's our top 10 tips. Thank you for listening. We'll now take any questions that you might have. I think we've had some emailed in already as well.
Yes, so one of the questions is, when you're running a A/B test, how long would you recommend running the test for before making a decision?
That's a really good question. So typically we'd recommend probably about 2 weeks. We do have clients that run A/B tests for as long as a month on Facebook, for example. You just need to keep things such as frequency, and if your click-through rate starts to dip after, say, 14 days, then maybe look to end the test there. But just keep looking at the performance and make sure that your frequency hasn't hit over 4.
Thank you very much for listening, and stay tuned obviously for the next webinar, which we will announce shortly.
Thank you.